Hey everybody, I just finished shaving. Let's talk about brushes.
Shave it up!
Hey everybody, Clean Shaver here. I have an informational video for you tonight. Now, those of you who are more experienced shavers, you probably don't necessarily need to watch this, but hopefully it'll be entertaining for you anyway. Today we're going to talk about shaving brushes. Now, there are lots of different kinds, different terminology that gets tossed around, and it was really confusing for me as a newbie with all that different lingo that kept getting tossed around on all the forums, and I became really confused really fast. So I hope to simplify that just a little bit. So first, we're going to go over some common terminology that you'll hear when dealing with shaving brushes. So, to show you the anatomy of a brush, here we have one of my favorite brushes. Now, so this obviously right here, it's called a handle. Handles can be made of porcelain, of wood, of plastic, a lot of different materials. You can even get custom handles that are really cool looking. Like I saw one that was in the shape of a lightsaber with a little pendant thing down in the bottom that had a picture of Yoda. How cool is that? Now the next thing is called the knot. Okay, now that refers to everything besides the handle, basically. That's the hair, the fibers up here. This is the knot. Now, people generally refer to a knot and they'll say the size, like in millimeters. So this, for instance, is a 24 millimeter knot. That means the diameter from side to side, 24 millimeters. Some other brushes go as far down. I mean, this one that I have is 18 millimeters. Another term that gets tossed around is loft. And loft refers from everything from the top of the handle to the very tip top of the brush. That is loft. I've seen brushes with anywhere between 30 millimeters up to 50 millimeters. They can be rather big. Another one that gets tossed around is splay. Splay is the spreading of the fibers when you're using it. So when these fibers go out like that, you see them spread out like that, that is splay. Okay, now another term that is related to that is backbone. This one really confused me when I first started. I really didn't understand what backbone meant. Backbone is the rigidity of the fibers when pushing against your skin. So we'll say that a brush with a lot of backbone does not just squish right against your face, whereas a brush with backbone will stay rather stiff, will stay rather supported through it. I mean, and it's usually a more dense brush. The tighter packed the fibers are, generally the more backbone there is. So as for types of brushes, now there are 4 main types. The first is badger, and that's the most commonly sought after one, is badger brushes. The second is boar, the third is horse, and the fourth is synthetic. So within the badger brushes, you actually have 3 different classes or grades. Basically, there are some subclasses and subgrades, but we won't get into that. We're talking basics here. Least expensive, mostly least sought after, but more common for beginners, is a pure badger. And it refers to fur that comes from a lot of different places on the badger's body. Okay, it is a more coarse hair. It's less expensive, but a lot of people really do like the scritch, the scratchiness of it. It helps to exfoliate the skin, makes a great lather. So some people really do like pure badger. The next step up is best badger. Best badger is a little bit softer and can be packed a little bit more densely, and you get a little bit more backbone and splay out of it. A little bit more play out of the brush. It is more expensive, but a lot of people really like it. It still has a little bit of that scratch, a little bit of that scratchiness or that exfoliating property that you'd get from like a toothbrush. Not that stiff, obviously, but that kind of scritch from a best badger. It's a little bit more expensive, but a lot of people really like it. The most sought after one is what's referred to as silver tip. Silver tip is from the nape of the neck right here on the badger. It is the softest hair and it's the most absorbent. So badger hair is really sought after for one of its main properties, and that is that it absorbs water. When you soak a brush in water, it actually soaks up water into the fibers, and that helps when you're lathering. The water from those fibers gets released and makes lots and lots of bubbles. So that's one reason why badger is so sought after. Silver tip badger is softer at the tips and generally keeps a lot of that same backbone, but is a lot softer and a lot more luxurious feeling. So that's one reason why silver tip is sought after. Another quick term that you'll hear when referring to badger brushes is 2-band versus 3-band. Now this is something I actually didn't learn until recently. A 2-band badger brush and a 3-band badger brush. Can you see the difference? I'm not talking about the size or the shape, it's the color. A 2-band, like this one, has 2 colors to it basically. Down here and up here. A 3-band has 3 colors. 1, 2, 3. You can see that. So 2-band versus 3-band. Neither one is necessarily more sought after than the other. Some people really prefer 3-band, some people really prefer 2-band. Both of these I really like. I really enjoy using both of these brushes. And the next one is Boar brushes. So I really only have 2 Boar brushes, but they are both great. My first one that I got was a Simog 620. Generally a great starting point for Boar brushes. They're relatively inexpensive. You can usually pick one up for 20 to 30 bucks, depending on where you get it, depending on what sale is on, but a great little brush nonetheless. One thing that people like about Boar brushes is while they don't absorb as much water as badger brushes, they do still absorb some, and they're a lot less expensive. That is one thing that people love about Boar brushes. Now, this one in particular, the tips, I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to move out of the way, put it right here so it'll focus. You can see how the tips are split. Now, as I use this brush, the tips tend to split just a little bit, and it gets softer and softer every time I use it. I've used this probably 30 or 40 times, and it's actually, for a badger brush, very soft on the tips. And badger also has a lot of great backbone. A lot of people really like this, not necessarily for face lathering, but for whipping up a lather in a bowl. Great brush. My other badger is a Avon Gentleman's Regiment brush. This is a very small knot. It's 18 millimeters, but also a very good brush. I like to use this if I'm like lathering in a mug, because it's got a long handle, and I can get down to the bottom of the mug and make a good lather without getting soap all over my hands. Now the third type is a horsehair brush. Now this is my horsehair, my only one that I have. It's a V long. You can see right there, V long. Horse is sometimes even cheaper than Boar brushes. Depends on the model, obviously, but has a bit more scritch. This thing is a lathering beast. It is awesome for making a lot of lather, and I really enjoy it. It also has a bit more of that scritch, and so if I shave my head, obviously, you've all seen me shave my head, and after a few days, if I haven't shaved my head, I can tell because I'll get a buildup of dead skin cells on my head. I know that sounds gross, but stay with me. And this brush actually helps to remove a lot of that because of that exfoliating property, that scritch of the brush. It actually helps to remove a lot of that and prepare my head for shaving. It's one reason I really like the horsehair. One downside, at least for this brush, this one tangles just a little bit. So if I'm not careful at the end of my shave, I have to go through with like my wife's pick. Don't tell her I do that. And I have to pick out some of the hairs that get tangled in the middle. It's a good brush, so I'm willing to put up with that, but that's horsehair for you. Now, last but not least is synthetic. Now, synthetics have only really become popular in the last 5 to 10 years, because prior to that, the technology for making synthetic shaving brushes just wasn't up to snuff to make it soft enough to make it enjoyable. I mean, I wouldn't want to have a brush that felt like a Brillo pad on my face. That would stink. That's not enjoyable at all. So the technology has gotten a lot better, and we've gotten a lot better performance out of synthetic brushes. Now, the only one that I have on hand, I've had a couple of synthetic brushes in the past. I've passed them on to new shavers in an effort to introduce them to wet shaving. Now, the only one that I have on hand is actually brand new to me, L'Occitane de Provence Plisson shaving brush. I picked this up for 30 bucks, and one thing I do like about it is, oh man, this thing is soft. I mean, it's what I'd imagine angels' fingers feel like. It is that soft. But downside to it, there's like no backbone to it at all. So an example of a brush with no backbone but a lot of splay. So I mean, for what it is, it's a very good brush. Now, one thing that people really do like about synthetics is that they dry quickly because they don't absorb water like badger or boar or horse. They dry very quickly, which makes them a good travel brush. So keep that in mind. If you are somebody that is going to be traveling quite a bit, then a synthetic brush could be a good option for you. So that's the rundown of brushes. I hope you learned something today. If you didn't, well, maybe pass it on to somebody that will learn something. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and share this video with anybody that you know that's maybe looking into wet shaving. We'd love to share this information with everybody that we can. Don't forget to find me on Facebook, The Clean Shaver. I have my page up, and I also have my Twitter page up, finally. I'm getting with the times. It's the 21st century. I know I look old, but I'm not. Anyway, so I have my Twitter feed is up. It's at The Clean Shaver. I'll put it right here. So you can find me on Twitter. I'll also put a link to my Twitter page down in the description below. Make sure to follow me there, and I'll be posting posts with all of my Shave of the Day video, or Shave of the Day pictures, Shave of the Day videos, everything that I'll be doing. It's all going to be shave related, so check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Be smooth. We'll see you next time.